Hey guys, welcome back. So today in class we discussed the concept of pop art. We looked at some work by Andy Warhol, and today we're going to end up creating our own pop art inspired images. First thing you want to do is download the file shared with you, and we have four lovely ladies here all wearing some sunglasses, which I thought would be a nice way to break up some color in these images. So you're going to choose one of the portraits, whichever one you'd like. You can hide the remainder of them. So I'm going to choose one in the upper left hand corner. I like her side profile. Now once I have that, I want to add an adjustment layer. Now, if you remember, our adjustment layers are down here. It's that half-filled circle. And we want to hit threshold this time. We've never worked with a threshold. Now, a threshold will strip all the color from a photograph so that there's only black or white. And the threshold controls how many of the pixels are going to be black, how many are going to be white. What you want to do is find like a nice medium amount where you still get the details of the person's face. If you go too far to the left, it's too washed out, right? It's too white. Go too far to the right, it's too black, you don't get enough detail. So you just want a nice middle ground where you see some of the white, some of the black, and it'll allow you to have a nice amount of detail in the figure. So once I'm happy with my numbers, and this is changeable, so if I don't like it, I can go back later. I can kind of hit Pro here, Properties, and hide that. Now I only want the threshold adjustment layer to affect that portrait and nothing else in my document. So I'm going to right click on the threshold adjustment layer and just hit Clipping Mask. I know I did this correctly because a little drop down arrow will pop up. What that means is this threshold adjustment layer is only affecting the portrait of the young lady and nothing else. So I won't accidentally make everything black or white in this image. Now this is where we're going to do our first progress check-in just to see that you have this part. Now once we're done with that, we're going to have to change our layer blend mode for our portrait. So first activate your portrait layer, and up here your layer blend mode is always set to normal. We're going to need this to be linear burn. So that way we can paint underneath this portrait and have this really cool effect. Now once that's done, we're going to need a new layer, a blank one. So let's put new layer here, and let's make sure this layer is underneath our portrait. We're going to name this paint just so that we remember. Now what we want to do is kind of decide what kind of color scheme we want our first painting to be. If you're not sure of a good color scheme, you can use this little group here. There are 4 I provided that might be able to help you out. You can choose any of these color schemes for your pop art style, or maybe you came up with your own. Just keep it in the realm of pop art, which is usually very vibrant colors. I'm going to choose a color I'd like to start off with her skin and build piece by piece. So let's see, I might want something neutral for her skin, and then I'll make other things poppy. And then I'm going to take my brush tool and start painting. Now your brush, just make sure the size of the brush is large enough to paint, but not too large that you're painting everything at once. And you're just going to physically paint. Just be sure you are on the layer that says paint when you do this. You don't actually want to paint on the actual figure. Color this in. And now because you have this set, you can be a little messier with this. I'm just painting. Now I can still see the black of the threshold adjustment layer, okay? As I get to the edges of things, I might want to zoom in just a little so I have a little bit more neatness. I'm going to speed past this next part and just paint every part of her with different bright pop art inspired colors. Okay, so some techniques that really helped me out is, as I was painting, if I noticed an area was either too dark or too light, I went back and I just double clicked on the word threshold here and I played around with the number, because sometimes you don't know until you start painting. Secondly, I did separate some of my paint. I did my background as the last one just so I wouldn't accidentally paint over some of the detail work I did. I did her skin as one layer as well, just so that it was separate from everything else. And then I did the smaller things like her shirt and her glasses. Now, I'm going to hide my pop art color scheme because I don't need that anymore. This is where you're going to do your second check-in of the day to show us that you've painted something. And I've used at least 3 different colors. What we're going to do next is we're going to group what we've made. So what we need in the group is our threshold, our portrait, and our paint layers if you have more than one. So I'm going to select them all by holding Shift. You see how they're all kind of grayed out. And I want to group them. I hit this little folder button on the bottom. Now this is all just together. I'm going to name this like Portrait Design 1. That's just going to help me out. Now once you have it grouped, you're going to make a copy. You can hit Control or Command J. See, I have Portrait Design 1 copy. I'm just going to hide the copy. The copy is a safety net. That means if I mess up later and I realize I want to fix something, I have all the things I actually worked on hidden and ready for me. But this original thing here, this other group, I want to flatten. Okay, the way you do that, you can go up to Layer, hit Merge Layers. What that's going to do is that's going to make this its own picture. If you notice, Portrait Design 1 is now a flat object, which means I can duplicate things and edit things really quickly. So I want to have 4 copies of this. I'm going to hit Control J 3 times. So I should have 4. Now they're all on top of one another, so it's my job now to just arrange them so that there's 2 on top, 2 on the bottom. You have something that looks kind of like this. Now right now they all have the same color scheme, but we're going to be able to change that. We're going to use a hue and saturation adjustment layer to tinker around. This is how you do it. Once you have your 4 laid out, you're kind of in the last step here. You're going to select one of them. You're going to go to adjustment layer, that half circle, and you're going to hit hue and saturation. Now, as you move the hue around, you're going to see that it changes. Now, obviously, it's changing everything, and we don't want that. That's where clipping masks come in. If we right-click on our hue and saturation adjustment layer, we hit clipping mask. Now, this will only affect that first one. We're going to repeat this 2 more times until we have 4 different layouts. So again, select the next image, hue and saturation, tinker, and then clip. One more time, take an image, hue and saturation, tinker, and then clip. Now, because I've clipped it, you would never know I used the same image over and over and did this color effect. And that's it. You've made your pop art inspired design. You are at the finish line. You export it as a JPEG. Now, if you'd like some extra credit or a challenge, try to pick someone you really admire. It could be someone in your family, a public figure, a musician, and do the same effect with their photograph. Good luck.